no, I would never, you're the last girl I would marry. And Lucy was like, oh, so you maybe prefer me as your stepmom. And Cedric is like, what? And Lucy's like, you heard me. And then she went into the room and closed the door. Hello, welcome back, or willkommen zurück. My name is Alice, and 2 years ago I have started solving this mystery. It's 4.50 from Paddington. It's an Agatha Christie mystery, and today we're gonna finally solve it. So I started 2 years ago. I managed to read up to here, and then a lot of other things happened, and I completely discontinued it. But now we're going to solve it, finally. I have all of my notes that I made when I was first reading it, and I will be using those, even though I completely forgot what it's about. From what I remember, this is about a murder that happened in a train. It's a Miss Marple mystery, and I have written down exactly which trains the murder happened on and where it started and at what time the murder was supposedly done, just for this to go into a completely different direction and none of this making any sense anymore. So I did all of that work for nothing. Let's just start. I read the first chapter and we have our witness. Our witness is called Elspeth McGillicuddy. I don't know if you can see McGillicuddy. She is a woman from Scotland. She was just in London. It's the 20th of December, so a few days before Christmas, and she was doing her Christmas shopping for her family. She's taking a train, the 4.5 from Paddington, to go and visit her dear friend Miss Marple, Miss Jane Marple. And on the train she is witnessing a murder, not in her train, but in another train that is passing her. So she's sitting in one train, another one is coming from behind, and for a quick moment they are almost going at the same speed. And she can see from her seat in first class into the other train, and she sees a man standing with the back towards the window and towards her, strangling a woman. And she really sees the last few moments that this woman is alive. She can see the purple in her face, she can see the eyes bulging, and then the body going limp and the woman dying. She is, the train is then speeding up and she cannot see in it anymore. She is alerting the ticket person, I don't know what it's called, ticket collector. He doesn't believe her because she was just having a nap and reading a book which was also about a strangling, and he thinks that she just imagined all of this, but of course she didn't. And so nothing is really done about the whole situation, but luckily she is going directly to her good friend Jane Marple and telling her what she saw, and that's the mystery we are going to solve. After Miss Gillicuddy told Mrs. Marple about what she's seen in the train, they decided to go and report it to a police officer. Their assumption was that the murdered woman, her body must have been found somewhere on the train, or if she was pushed out of the train, on the train tracks somewhere. So they were looking for, in the newspapers, for any news if a murdered woman was found. However, there was not. So there was the question of where did the body go. Without a body, the police also cannot investigate. So Mrs. Marple did several journeys on the next few days, taking the same train, the 4.50 from Paddington, and she figured out with the help of some other people and with some maps that the train that the murderer was in started in, or is also coming from Paddington, but at 4:33, so a little bit earlier. And these two trains are passing each other close to Brackhampton, which is a little city. And the train that the murderer is on, there is on the train tracks a curve, and this curve might have caused the murderer to stumble against the window, which then meant the blinds were coming up, and that's how Miss Gillicuddy could see the murder happening. And right around this curve, the murderer must have also pushed the body out of the train, because it's the only way that it wasn't found in the train tracks, because this curve is actually on a... You know, the train is up high. The train track?
Cliff?
Yeah, it's like a cliff. Exactly, thank you. It's like a curve and a cliff. And if you push it there, it falls down into a valley. And this valley is part of like a farm. Is it a farm? It's not quite a farm. It's like multiple small houses, and it belongs to a rich family. And this family is called the Krakenforbes. So the body was probably pushed onto the land of the Krakenforbes. Now Miss Marple wants to investigate, but she is quite elderly, and so she's enlisting the help of someone else who will be our main protagonist, and her name is Lucy Alsborough. Lucy Alsborough, I will read a quick description of her. Lucy Alsborough was 32. She had taken a first in mathematics at Oxford, was acknowledged to have a brilliant mind, and was confidently expected to take up a distinguished academic career. But Lucy Alsborough, in addition to scholarly brilliance, had a core of good, sound common sense. She did not fail to observe that a life of academic distinction was singularly ill-rewarded. She had no desire whatever to teach, and she took pleasure in contacts with minds much less brilliant than her own. In short, she had a taste for people, all sorts of people, and not the same people the whole time. She also, quite frankly, liked money. To gain money, one must exploit shortage. Lucy Alsborough hit at once upon a very serious shortage, the shortage of any kind of skilled domestic labor. To the amazement of her friends and fellow scholars, Lucy Alsborough entered the field of domestic labor. Lucy is a young, successful, highly intelligent woman who is working as a housemaid. She takes contracts no longer than a month, like always just 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, something like that. And she goes into different houses and she takes care of the whole household. It says here that she is doing anything. She was unbelievably competent in every conceivable sphere. She looked after elderly parents, accepted the care of young children, nursed the sickly, cooked divinely, got on well with any old crusted servants that might happen to be there. They usually weren't. Was tactful with impossible people, soothed habitual drunkards. She was wonderful with dogs. Best of all, she never minded what she did. She scrubbed the kitchen floors, dug in the garden, cleaned up dog messes, and carried coals. So basically, she is extremely good at her job, so people pay her handsomely. And that is how she can manage to work basically everywhere. And Lucy and Miss Marple know each other because they met some time ago during a different case. And Miss Marple enlisted her help. So Miss Marple is now staying at a friend's place, which is, I think, in Brackhampton. So it's very close to the Krakenforbes house. And Lucy is going into the Krakenforbes house to investigate what might have happened with the body. She is going to look out if there are any sign of a body being thrown from a very high height. So if there's any broken, I don't know, twigs on any bushes or something, or if there's like bits of clothing stuck to the ground, and yeah, she will investigate from there. That's where we're at right now, and this is why I have studied this. They give me so much information about when the train arrives here and what train is coming from there, and then it's overtaken by 2 other trains, and I remember writing down like frantically how exactly, like, okay, she has to go from here, and then she's arriving at Brackhampton here, and then the murder must have occurred here, and which other train could there have been, just for the book to tell you. Because Miss Marple basically does the same thing. She looks at the maps and then she says in the book, so it must be the 4:33 from Paddington, and it arrives da da da. Like all of this, I did all of this for nothing. Yeah, but anyway, we are now at the Kraken Farms and we're going to meet the family. It is time to meet the Kraken Farms. Okay, so we are on this piece of land belonging to the Kraken Farms. The old Mr. Kraken Farm, he is dead. He is the one that originally built the house and everything, and he's got 2 sons. One, the younger one, because they were a very rich family, right? And the younger one, he loved to spend his money. He married an actress and then he got into a car accident and he was killed. Like he died. So the younger son is now inhabiting this building, the mansion. And the younger son, he is called Old Mr. Krakenthorpe. Okay? He and his father never really liked each other. When he was younger, he went around traveling and he collected art pieces, which are apparently quite terrible. Like lots of marble statues and stuff, who are all the worst of the worst. And now he sent them all back home and they are all in a barn, just collecting dust. Anyway, he is now an old man and they use a word for him in there that I think is quite outdated, so I'm not gonna say it. They just say he is disabled, he's very sickly and he cannot get around on his own. He is also extremely keen on not moving out of the house, even though they don't have a lot of money anymore, I think. They are just now still living in this old house because it was built by his father and because, and there's, you know, they have lots of riches around them, but they are not particularly rich anymore. And he hates spending money. He doesn't want to sell the house, he wants to live there, and he hates wastefulness. And he is quite mean to everyone around him. He has a daughter who is living with him. Her name is Emma Krakenthorpe. She is described as middle-aged, she has dark hair and dark eyes and a very pleasant voice. They say in the book that she is not really like special in any way, like she's not super pretty but she's also not super bland. She's just a nice woman. And these two are living there. But there's also extended family. He has 3 more sons, plus he had a daughter that already died. So the 3 sons are the oldest one is Mr. Edmund. He is also dead. He died. Then there's Mr. Cedric. He lives abroad. He is not married and he is a painter. He likes painting. And then there's Mr. Harold, who is, I think, a businessman. He lives in London, so that's not far. And he married the daughter of an earl, I don't know. Oh, and then there's a 4th son, apparently, Mr. Alfred, who is kind of the black sheep in the family, who has been in trouble a few times. But he's generally nice, a nice person. And then, of course, he had another daughter who died, Miss Edith. And Miss Edith married Mr. Bryan, so that Mr. Bryan is now also part of the family. And they had a child together who is called Alexander. That's the family, oh my god, okay. Also on the premises is a gardener who is already also quite old and his hearing is not very well and he's also partially blind. I don't know what he's doing there, and he doesn't even really work. He's just standing around pretending to work. And then there are Mrs. Kidder and Mrs. Hart who are coming in. Mrs. Hart comes in 3 times a week and Mrs. Kidder comes in every morning, who are just household helpers, basically. So that's everyone on the premises. Okay. Now that you know the Krakenthorpes, let's continue with the story. Basically, Lucy goes there, she gets a job at this house, and during her stay, first she meets kind of everyone, and then she finds evidence that there was a body thrown from the train tracks. So she basically finds a bush whose like the fingers of the bush. What is it called? The sticks? Some sticks. The bush was crushed basically, and half of it is broken. And she finds some fur on it, and the woman in the train was wearing a fur coat, so she found evidence that she was there. And she also found some compact powder that fell out of the fur coat of the woman. So now it's clear that there was a body who was pushed down there. And then a few days later she's meeting the young Master Alexander. He's with a friend, they are playing around, and Lucy, is pretending to play golf so that she can push the golf balls into the bushes and pretend to look for them and search for them, while she is in reality looking for clues, maybe that there is a body somewhere, because Miss Marple now has the theory that this was a premeditated murder, because it's a lot of like accidents. It's very unnatural that there's so much coincidentally. Alright, that he is like, there's a man in a train who is murdering a woman at the exact correct time to then push her over the train tracks, so she lands in this uninhabited little piece of land, and then he comes to her and drives her away. It's just too much coincidences. So Mrs. Marple thinks the murder was premeditated and that the body will probably still be on the premises somewhere. And while Lucy is playing golf, the two boys, little Alexander plus his friend, are joining her, and they are looking for some paint to paint the golf set, I don't know, and they go into an old barn which is full of the very tragically bad art pieces that the old Mr. Krakenthorpe has bought when he was younger. And there's also a sarcophagus in there, and in that sarcophagus Lucy discovers the body of a woman. So we have now found the body. And yeah, according to Miss Marple, it has to be someone who knows of this, like who knows that this piece of land is mostly not inhabited, who knows the family, who knows the layout of the land, and who also knows the barn and the sarcophagus, so he can put the body in there. The sarcophagus, like the barn, is accessible for everyone. There is a key just on the outside of it. You can take it and you can go in there, because there's nothing valuable in there to steal. Pretty much everyone thinks the art pieces in there are not valuable at all. First of all, they are ugly. Second of all, they are too hard to transport. So we now have the murder, the body, and now we're going to find out who did it. And it's probably going to be someone of the Krakenthorpes, which I think is a really funny name. I think we're going to meet the family a little more. And I think that because past me has already written down some more things about the family that I have not discovered yet. So I can't wait to get to that part. And yeah, let's see. You want to solve a murder, Luna? You want to solve it? Who do you think it is? Who do you think it is? I think it has to be a man. He is described as tall. He's wearing a big coat, so you cannot really see what statue he is of. But he must have been quite strong to lift up the woman and strangle her like that. So I think it's not old Mr. Krakenthorpe, and it's also not Emma. It must be one of the boys, right, Aluna? Right? Inspector Bacon has now arrived on scene. So, upon finding the body in the sarcophagus, which, by the way, Lucy had to get a Brecheisen, what is it called? A crowbar Thank you, darling. Lucy had to get a crowbar to get it open because it's a stone sarcophagus, so it's really, really hard to open. It's heavy. And upon finding the body in there, she called first Miss Marple and then the police. Inspector Bacon arrived on scene, and there he interviewed Lucy, who told him everything about Miss Marple and everything. He will have to check that story with Miss Marple, which of course it will turn out true. And then he also spoke to a doctor who has come here to see after the old Mr. Crackenthorpe, to make sure that he's alright, because it's quite a shock. And from the doctor we got some new information. Basically, we got the information that Emma, she was never married. Her younger sister married when she was 17, the now deceased one. And but she never married, although she is very bright, and she is staying not really because of an obligation she has towards her father, but more because she has the urge to just take care of everyone in the family, and she is quite easily able to identify what a person needs and give it to them. Like, for example, she like her older brother, who's a painter, he likes to get her opinion on painting, so she gives him the opinions he needs. Or with the younger one, the Alexander, she is trying to be like motherly towards him, stuff like this. And we also found out that the old Mr. Crackenthorpe, he is not really disabled. He's just old. He's like 74 or something, and he is pretty normal, and also, I believe, even strong for his age. Like, he can walk really fast. He's just making a big deal out of being disabled because he wants to be disabled, basically. He has like a little heartburn after eating, so he says like, oh my god, I have problems with my heart, or he sometimes has like some body pain just because he's older, so he's like, oh my god, I have like arthritis, stuff like this. And basically, Emma knows that, and because she is someone who is trying to cater to everyone around her, she also caters to him and also treats him as if he was really disabled, but he's not. So that is also something. I don't know if he would still be able to kill someone, like if he has the strength to strangle a woman and then get her into the sarcophagus. Which also, I don't know if he would, because he really seems to love these things, like the sarcophagus and the weird art things. So I don't know. I still don't think that he is a likely suspect. I also don't think that Emma is a likely suspect. Both of them, plus the doctor and Alexander, and the friend of Alexander who is there, all of them don't recognize the woman. So they don't know who the victim is. But we're gonna find out. Inspector Bacon is on the case. Some new information has come to light. First of all, Scotland Yard is now on it. Inspector Craddock. Because the woman supposedly was French. So because it is like an international thing now, they have gotten a new inspector. Inspector Bacon and Inspector Craddock are on the case. Second, we learned that, so the whole family is now together, all of the sons are coming in, blah 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 blah, they're all there. We know there's some tension between Harold and Cedric in particular, because Harold is this businessman from London and Cedric is this painter, and he is living in Ibiza, I think. Ibiza? And Harold is like, where you are coming from Mallorca, things are different. And he's like, no, it's actually Ibiza, it's the same thing, no, it's a different island, blah, blah, blah. So there's some tension in there. Also, we learn did you remember when I told you the old Mr. Krakenthorpe? He was really stubborn and never wants to sell his house, even though they are not in a good standing financially. Apparently, it's not that he doesn't want to sell this house. He cannot. He's not allowed to because of the will of his father. With the brothers, there's now a Mr. Wimborne. He's also come to the estate because he is the one up in London who's doing the family affairs, basically. He's like a lawyer or something, I don't know. And he knows the will, or he has the will of this old father Krakenthorpe who died. And in the will it states basically, as to Josiah Krakenthorpe's will, there is no mystery about it. He left his very considerable fortune in trust, the income from it to be paid to his son Luther for life. Luther is the old Mr. Krakenthorpe. And after Luther's death, the capital to be divided equally between Luther's children, Edmund, Cedric, Harold, Alfred, Emma and Edith. Edmund was killed in war and Edith died 4 years ago, so that on Luther Krakenthorpe's decease, the money will be divided between Cedric, Harold, Alfred, Emma and Edith's son Alexander Eastleigh. And the house? That will go on to Luther Krakenthorpe's eldest surviving son, or his issue. The eldest son is Edmund Krakenthorpe. Was Edmund married? No, so the property will actually go to the next son, Cedric. Mr. Luther Krakenthorpe cannot dispose of it? No. And he has no control of the capital? No. Isn't it rather usual? I suppose, said Inspector Craddock shrewdly, that his father didn't like him. Yeah. Let's move on! Okay, the initial questioning is done. So the inspectors have asked pretty much every family member some questions. And this is what we learned about them. First of all, when the police suggested that the woman who was killed was actually a foreigner, Emma, she directly said like, oh, was she French? But in the questioning later, when they asked her why she thought so, she just said that, oh, I don't know, isn't it like that there's so many French people here in this country, it's just the first thing you think of, haha, actually, I don't know. And that's very suspicious. She definitely knows something, but she's not gonna say it. Anyway, we're going to look at all of the different people, okay? First, we will start with the eldest son, the eldest still living son, Mr. Cedric. Mr. Cedric, the painter. He is a big man with a rugged face and unkempt hair. He's also unshaven, which could fit the description of our murderer, of course. He wears old grey flannel trousers and a patched baggy jacket. You can see in his clothing that the clothes used to be of good quality, but now they're really worn down. He wears them every day. He prefers comfortable clothes when he's painting. And yeah, so he looks a bit rough. He's unmarried. He lives in Ibiza. And he actually has the theory when he hears that the woman is French, he assumes that she is maybe a sex worker. And so this whole sex worker thing is now, I don't know, being brought up there. He came to London, or to the estate during Christmas.
I'll be home for Christmas.
He flew in on the 21st of December and then went back to Ibiza on the 27th. And since the murder occurred on the 20th, that would give him an alibi. Then the next one in line is Mr. Harold. Let's look at him. Mr. Harold is the businessman. Okay, so he is tall, he has dark hair that is a little bit balding, and he has a thin black mustache mustache, my god. So he would also fit the description. He wears a well-cut suit and a pearly grey tie, very expensive. He is a businessman and he looks the part. He lives in London and he is married. He is described as shrewd and very stickly over this murder. So he has like, to him it's like a personal insult that there was a murder on his family home. It's like, oh, the press will be all over this and I will have such a bad reputation, you know, my reputation, blah, 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 like this. He also visited the family on Christmas. He was there on the estate from the 24th to the 29th, but since he lives in London and could drive there anytime, still that doesn't give him an alibi. And then the last one of the brothers, Mr. Alfred, he wears a suit that superficially looks quite good and smart, but is really of low quality and didn't cost a lot. He currently works in investments, which means he is very shady and he's not giving any great answers. They're not getting anything out of him. And the police recognized him when he came into. So he might have been in some kind of, either like an article in the newspaper or something, but I think it's more like he's a frequent flyer, you know, like he had some run-ins with the police before. I think that's more likely. Then we have the daughter, Emma. Of course, we already heard a lot about her. She is middle-aged, she has dark hair and eyes, and she immediately knew that the woman was French, but she's not going to say, or she isn't saying why, so that's a secret. And she says that she has never seen this woman before, though she is anxious to know if it really was a French woman. She has a suspicion who this woman could be, but she's just not saying anything. And she never married. So these are all the siblings. Then we have Mr. Brian Eastley. Mr. Brian Eastley was married to Edith, the youngest sister, who died I think 4 or 5 years ago. She married him when she was 17 and they have a child together, Alexander. By the way, I say child, but he's more like a young adult, I think. He's not 21 yet. He's still in school, but he's not like 5 or something. He is like a teenager. Mr. Brian Eastley. Thank you. Mr. Brian Eastley, he is close to 40. He has brown hair, blue eyes, and an enormous fair mustache. He also lives in London, so he could have gone to and from the estate anytime. Yeah, he was married to Edith. He's Alexander's dad. He used to be a pilot in the war, I think, and is currently jobless. He basically is like, when you're a veteran, people give you any kinds of jobs and they are really nice to you, but these are all like jobs like accounting or things you will have to be in an office and do something with numbers, and it's just not the kind of job he can do very well. So he would love to start his own thing, but he needs money to start his own thing. And even if the old Mr. Crackenthorpe dies, because he's not really part of the family, he's not going to get any money. Only his son will. But his son can only access the money when he's 21. And until then, Mr. Brian Eastley, he's the one that will probably take care of the money thing. So there could be a motive, but to the wrong murder case. Okay. He does know something about France because he is also making some kind of, like, when they tell him about the foreign lady and he has the suspicion that she may be French, he is very interested in that. I think he knows something. And there's this weird kind of almost role reversal with his son going on, where his son calls him Brian and is like speaking to him as if he is the dad, kind of like this. I think Mr. Brian Easley, I think he doesn't have it very easy right now. Yeah, I think maybe he is a little bit in distress from this whole jobless thing, and I don't know, I think there's something going on where his son really takes care of him. Then we do have Dr. Quimper. I have written down some things about him. He is basically the doctor. He is the doctor that always takes care of the old Mr. Crackenthorpe. And so he knows about the family. And he was there at Christmas. We know this because the old Mr. Crackenthorpe is telling a story that there was something at the Christmas party where I think he ate something wrong and that he had some trouble with his digestion or something. I think he just had some stomach pains. And the doctor was there to question him about what he ate, how much, and when, and blah, 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 blah. So we know that he was at the estate at Christmas as well. But he says he doesn't remember ever seeing the woman in Blackhampton, the murder victim. But later, he tells Emma to talk to the police about Martine. Who Martine is, we will find out. So we know that he knows something. Then we have old Mr. Crackenthorpe. Most of these things I already told you. He's 27 years old. He likes to be disabled, even though he is not. But he likes when people care for him. He says he never saw the victim before. He is mean as hell over money. He hates his children except for Alexander, and he doesn't want them to get any money. Yes. That's all we know so far. We will know more tomorrow, because I'm going to bed. Bye-bye. So you know how I told you that there was a girl named Martine that you will hear about later? This is the later part. So apparently Martine is a girl, a French girl, who was engaged or married, we don't know, to the oldest brother who died in the war. So basically the family got a message from him, like a letter, I don't know, and that he has met a girl. Her name is Martine, she's French, and they are engaged, about to be married. But then, before they could meet the girl or anything, the brother was killed and she never came forward. So they have never seen her, they don't really know about her, it's like a thing from the past. They also don't know if she is just a fiancée or if she's married. And the inspector even said that maybe this woman could have, she looks like the type to maybe even have a kid, but I don't know about that. Anyway, so right around Christmas time, the family received a letter from Martine saying that she's in England and that she would like to meet the family. Everything was arranged, but then they got another letter, or like a quick text, like a telegram, that something came up and she has to go back to France. But now Emma believes that maybe this dead girl could be Martine. And she talks about it to her brother Cedric, the painter, and says, oh, maybe I should tell the police, but he's like, no, you shouldn't, don't tell them, it will just cause an uproar, it's like, just let them figure out who this person is, maybe, like, you know, you don't have to bring up Martine, who we have never actually seen and who is, like, not part of this anyway. But then she talks to Dr. Quimper, who also knows about Martine, because he is like quite a close family friend, and he tells her that she should go and tell the police because he knows her and he knows that she will keep worrying about it if she doesn't. And he also says You do what you want to do, my dear, and let the rest of the family go hang. I'd back your judgment against a lot of them any day. So that is quite nice. Yeah, that's Martine. And so I'm thinking, this must be... I'm thinking maybe Martine was actually married to the eldest brother. What's his name again? His name was Edmund, Mr. Edmund. So I think Martine is actually married, or was married to Mr. Edmund before he died, which makes her, or maybe if she even had a child, the child, the Erbe, Alleinerbe. What's it called?
Heir.
The heir. The heir to the family business and the heir to the family money. So maybe one of the brothers strangled her, got rid of her in order to get the money from the trust, because I think now that the old Mr. Krakenthorpe is getting more and more elderly, maybe he will die soon, and then there's a question about who gets the money. So that would give a direct motive to Mr. Brian, because the money will now go to Master Alexander, which is the son of Mr. Brian Eastley. And so Mr. Brian then gets the money, so that would give him the motive to kill Martine. It's also suspicious that Mr. Cedric did not want Emma to tell the police about Martine, but he's still on my maybe not list, because he's got an alibi, because he wasn't in England, he was in Ibiza. He only came to England on the 21st when the murder was on the 20th. I don't know, the police will make sure of that alibi, but for now I think Mr. Brian Eastley is my number one suspect momentarily is Mr. Brian Eastley. Okay, I'm coming back to you after reading just one more chapter, but this chapter, my god! So Lucy had a conversation with the old Mr. Krakenthorpe. He basically got her into his study, and we found out a few new things. First thing is, he is way stronger than even Emma knows. He is very strong. I think he would be capable of murder, honestly. He is a new suspect now. He showed her his collection. The boys, like his children, already said that he was hoarding money and that he might be now just as rich as his father was. So yeah, he's a rich old guy, and we just got that confirmed because he showed Lucy in his study. He is hiding like golden sovereigns, like gold money from before the war. And it's a lot. He is very rich, and he kind of made a go at Lucy and was like, oh, you know, maybe you shouldn't marry like a young man who's got nothing in his head. Like, you should marry someone who's like older and experienced and who's rich, you know. It's kind of like a conditional marriage proposal, basically. And he always talks about how Lucy is like very good looking. Everyone talks about how Lucy's good looking. The painter also did. But yeah, and Lucy was like, I gotta get out of here. That's crazy. My god, the old man. And he talks about his wife who died, and that he never even really liked her, but she was agreeable, and that's okay. And he was like, yeah, no one will get my money because Emma will never marry. She likes the doctor a little bit, but the doctor will never marry her. And the other ones are all not married, and the only one who gets my riches is Alexander. He's a little boy. Yes, I'm fond of him. And he was like, oh yeah, that's a little awkward that I actually like him. I don't really like it that I like him. But anyway, you should marry me. I can see him like that. This guy is crazy. He's crazy. Would he murder someone to keep his inheritance? No. Right? My god. Leave her alone. She's a young woman. She's like 23 and he's like 74. Come on. What do you have to say to that?
To be a rich old man. The dream.
Bullshit. This chapter was wild because Miss Marple visited the house and seen everyone, and then Lucy got like 2 more marriage proposals. First from, like, all the boys are crazy for her. I don't know. So she already has the marriage proposal from the old Mr. Krakenfor. Then Alfred, the criminal, proposed to marry her because he wants to use her criminal talents and like her talents to do crime with her, and he says like, yeah, he's fallen for her, and also a married wife cannot be made to bring up evidence against her husband in court, so they should just marry. That was crazy. Harold, the businessman, didn't make a marriage proposal because he is already married, but he told her she should come up to London and work for him in his firm, and he will give her a really nice like salary and everything, and she should totally hit him up. And then the last one, Cedric, sat on the stairs and also wanted to ask her something, and Lucy was like, do you want to ask me to marry me and go to Ibiza with you? And he was like, no, I would never, you're the last girl I would marry. And Lucy was like, oh, so you maybe prefer me as your stepmom? And Cedric is like, what? And Lucy's like, you heard me. And then she went into the room and closed the door. This is the letter that Emma got from Martine a few days before Christmas. Dear Mademoiselle, I hope it will not be a shock to you to get this letter. I do not even know if your brother Edmund told you that we were married. He said he was going to do so. He was killed only a few days after our marriage, and at the same time the Germans occupied our village. After the war ended, I decided that I would not write to you or approach you, though Edmund had told me to do so. But by then I had made a new life for myself and it was not necessary. But now things have changed. For my son's sake, I write this letter. He is your brother's son, you see, and I can no longer give him the advantages he ought to have. I am coming to England early next week. Will you let me know if I can come and see you? My address for letters is 126 Elvers Crescent, number 10. I hope again this will not be a great shock to you. I remain with assurance of my excellent sentiments, Martine Krakenfor. So if that is true, not only were they married, but they also had a son. The son would be about 15 or 16 now, and she's probably coming to get some money, and he would be an heir to the estate. So he would get money and land. And Emma pretty much told this information that's in the letter, as well as the address of Martine, to all of her brothers plus the doctor, and also Mr. Brian Eastley, who believed it was real. Emma also believed it was real. Her brothers were kind of, especially Harold, was like, oh, that's just someone making a very bad joke, or like, not a bad joke, but like someone is impersonating her to get some money, it's a scam, blah 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 blah. Anyway, Emma wrote back, and a few days later I received a telegram from London. Very sorry, forced to return to France unexpectedly, Martine. Now, this letter was from London, right? So what I think happened is one of the family members went up to the address of Martine, maybe told her, hey, we're going to, you know, I will get you to the estate, let's go together. And then in London, he set up the letter, sent it back, sorry I had to go to France, and then killed her on the way from London to Brackhampton. So that's, I think, what happened. Emma said she was very fond of Edmund. He was my favorite brother, and she would love for it to be true. I would be so glad if Edmund had left a son. But let's see. A few different things have happened now. So, in the investigation, trying to find out who this murder victim is, of course, it could be Marine. What's her name again? Martine? Martine. It could be Martine, the, I guess, wife of dead Mr. Edmund. There's also a different line that has opened up. Apparently, so the police investigated in Paris, and there was a ballet who was touring in London, and they had someone called Anna Strawinska, I don't know, Anna Strawinska, who was a dancer at the ballet, and she is about the same height and has the same look as the murder victim. Also the clothing would match, and she disappeared on the 19th, the evening of the 19th. She told everyone that she was going to stay with a man. I don't know. The thing is, Anna Strawinska sounds like a Russian name, but the director of the ballet told the police that the girls basically choose their own names to be on stage, so it's like an artist name. And no one really knew a lot about her. She was a very private person. She would tell a lot of stories about her life before the ballet, but all of them were like outrageous, and most of the people there thought she was, or she seemed to be a liar, a big liar, pathological. And one of the stories she told was about having married an English man, that she had an English husband. She never said anything about having a child though, and she also said things about that an old man who's very rich will come get her, and she will be on a cruise with him around the world, and she will be on a Scottish, like she will go to Scotland and there's a man waiting for her there, and she will play golf in the sun and everything. So there is now the possibility that the dead murdered woman could also be Anna. And there's also the possibility that Anna is Martine. And that is just her stage name. We don't know about that. The police did some more interviews with Harold and Alfred, the brothers, to find out what exactly they were doing on the evening of the 20th, and if they have an alibi for the time, basically. The police has not disclosed to them that the murder happened in a train, so the only thing they know is that it happened in the barn, in the long barn, which of course we know not to be true. But yeah, they don't know the specific time. That's only the police knows. And so they questioned them. Harold was able to give an account of where he was. The thing is, he was going all over the city. He had meetings with different people in London, and when he came home, there was 2 servants there, but they didn't really see him. They might have heard him, but that's all very open. So he might have an alibi, might not have an alibi. It still needs to come back. The police needs to look into it. And then Alfred had no alibi whatsoever, although it is clear that he remembered the day, because he seems to have quite a good memory. He's just telling the inspector that he doesn't remember because probably he was doing illegal shit on the side. So yeah, he gave like a vague account, but wouldn't really go into the specifics, and the police has now also figured out why they know him. Apparently he's like a small-time criminal, but he has never been... He got mixed up in lots of different things, but he has never been incarcerated. Exactly. So now Inspector Craddock is back at his desk, and he is writing a little report on what is on his mind. I'm going to read this to you. And then, yeah, let's see. Okay, so, back at his desk, Craddock sat frowning and making little notes on the pad in front of him. Murderer, he wrote. A tall, dark man. Victim could have been Martine, Edmund Krakenthorpe's girlfriend or widow, or could have been Anna Strawinska. Went out of circulation at appropriate time, right age and appearance, clothing, etc. No connection with Rutherford Hall as far as is known. Could be Harold's first wife. Bigamy. So basically, Alfred suggested that why would they have a reason to kill Martine if she came back? Now, if it was the first wife of Harold, because apparently he had a first wife who was also killed in war, if he came back, then if she came back, then that would be a problem for Harold, because then it would mean that he's married to 2 women, which would give him a motive to get rid of one of them. But that's just like Alfred just threw that one out there, no connection whatsoever. I don't think it's true, but anyway, so that's why he wrote it down. Yeah, could be Harold's wife, bigamy, mistress, blackmail. If connection with Alfred, might be blackmail. Had knowledge that could have sent him to go, so like maybe if she was somehow connected to him, maybe because of his business ventures, you know, maybe there was some blackmail. If Cedric, might have connections with him abroad, Paris or Balearics, or victim could be Anna as posing as Martine. That's also a possibility, that maybe Anna and Martine are 2 different people and they met somewhere abroad, maybe in the ballet, I don't know, and Martine told Anna her story and Anna is now posing as Martine. That would have also been. Or victim is unknown woman killed by unknown murderer. And most probably the latter, said Craddock aloud. He reflected gloomily on the situation. You couldn't get far with the case until you had the motive. All the motives suggested so far seemed either inadequate or far-fetched. Now if only it had been the murder of old Mr. Krakenthorpe. Plenty of motive there. Something stirred in his memory. He made further notes on his pad. Ask Dr. Q about Christmas illness. Cedric, alibi. Consult Miss M for the latest gossip. So he's going to Miss Marple. And let's see what she has to say. The inspector has now finished asking everyone about their whereabouts, and we got some more information. First off, Cedric, his alibi actually doesn't check out. So originally his story was that he flew in from Mallorca on from Ibiza on the 21st of December. But now we found out that that was a lie. He actually came in to London on the 19th. So his story was that he was taking an earlier flight because he wanted to fly to Paris to visit some friends there and stay there a few days. But on the flight he met a woman who he really liked, and he decided to just spend the days with her. She was going to London, so he came with her to London, checked in a hotel under a false name, and he spent like the evening of the 19th plus the day, the 20th, with her. Then she departed on the 21st and he went to visit his family. So that puts him in London at the time. And I also think there might be a possibility that he actually flew to Paris and got Martine and then flew with Martine. Martine could be the lady friend that he mentioned. You know, maybe he had some relations with her. I don't know. But there's a possibility. Also, we know that on the 20th, Emma, she went out and she returned in the evening, and apparently she said that she had prepared some food for her dad to eat, but the worker who comes in didn't come in and didn't give him his food, so so he was in a bad mood, and apparently when he's in a bad mood, he just locks himself into his room and refuses to speak to her. Also, Brian Eastley called the house, but because the dad was mad, he didn't go to the telephone, because it is well known that he does not speak to anyone if he's mad. But that also means that she just cannot verify if the dad was there or not. She just presumes he was in his room. So that also gives him the time, you know, to commit a murder. And another thing about Brian Eastley, who is still one of my #1 suspects, he apparently, well, we know that his life is kind of miserable. He apparently took a liking to Lucy. He told his son Alexander about it, and since Alexander also likes Lucy, he has been going around to Lucy, talking to her like, oh, you know, I wouldn't be mad if my dad married again, if it was like a sensible woman who could cook really well. Maybe you. Like this. There was also there's some flirtation going on. Even Miss Marple pointed out that maybe Brian and Lucy could be having a little fling, no one knows. And also one more important information that came from the doctor is that on the evening on December 24th, there was this stomach pain. I already told about it, that the old Mr. Crackenthorpe got some weird stomach cramps, and the doctor was scared that it could be actually poisoning, because it presented similar to how arsenic poisoning would present itself. The thing is that the old Mr. Crackenthorpe has these stomach pains almost every time, or he has it a lot whenever family is there. And they just put it down to, well, whenever people are there, guests are there, family is there, Emma cooks more and more elaborately, and because he is usually not one to really eat a lot, because he's like, you know, he tries to hold on to all of the money he can, and he thinks it's just wasteful. Now that there's all these people around, he's eating a lot, and that's what upsets his stomach. That could be an explanation, but I think it is likely that there happened, like some poisoning incident happened, and it is weird that it always happens when the family is around. Maybe they are trying to poison him. The thing though with arsenic poisoning, as the inspector also pointed out, is that you do it like slowly, like a small amount over multiple days, and then it's, you know, it just makes you more and more sick and you die. And if you were to do it in one large dose and he didn't die from it, surely you would up the dose the next time to not make the same mistake again. Because it was also like, yeah, he is more healthy than he looks, maybe they miscalculated the dose. But if this has happened multiple times, then why is there a poisoner out there unsuccessfully poisoning old Mr. Crackenthorpe time and time and time again? Like, surely you would up the dosage if it doesn't work, right? So that's also a weird thing. I don't know. There are so many women's stories. Everyone has to gain something. Harold, although he is a good businessman, blah blah blah, and holds on to money, he seems to be in money trouble though. Because these assets, like all of the assets he has, they are kind of always on the fence, and he needs some money desperately. Of course, the painter, Cedric, whatever, he stands to inherit the whole mansion and the lands around it, which would be quite good for him. And Brian Eastley doesn't have a job and needs money. Even whatever his name was, the criminal, he is always... Albert, yeah. He is also always in money trouble. And so everyone has to gain something, but it's the wrong murder, right? If they would have to kill the old Mr. Crackenthorpe, because he is really healthy apparently. It is emphasized how strong and healthy he is, and that he will live up to 90 years old, definitely. And he's like 72. there was just one thing that actually Miss Marple, she was talking to the detective, and before the detective was leaving her, Miss Marple put down her knitting and picked up the Times with the half-done crossword puzzle. I wish I had a dictionary here, she murmured. Tontine and Tokay. I always mix these two words up. One, I believe, is a Hungarian wine. That's Tokay, said Lucy, looking back from the drawer. But one's a 5-letter word and one's a 7. What's the clue? Oh, it wasn't in the crossword, said Miss Marple vaguely. It was in my head. Inspector Credit looked at her very hard. Then he said goodbye and went. So of course I needed to Google what the fuck is Tontine. Tontine? Because it was in Miss Marple's head, so obviously it's a clue. And Tontine is a thing, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. Tontine? It's basically where multiple people, it's like a retirement plan of some sort. Multiple people put their income and wealth into a fund, and then whenever someone dies, the money that he put in is being split up to all of the other surviving members. And so when you do it as like an older group and you die and die and die, then the last one will inherit the whole thing, is what I understood this to be. And that's a form of financial plan that is, I think it was forbidden in the USA because people directly gain something from the death of a person, right? So if you kill someone, you inherit their money. So if that's some sort of clue, then we'd have to think of this not only as like a inheritance game, but also if maybe the brothers all made a pact or something, you know? Or if there's some kind of Tortine structure going on, Tortine structure going on, then maybe there was something to gain from the death of this woman. Because what if Mr. Edmund had some... I don't know, it's just in my head. It's in my head. Oh yeah, the detective also found another clue. The letter that Emma sent back to Martine was revealed to have been crumpled up, or at least crumpled up and found on the grounds. The two boys found it. So that must mean that either Martine had it with her and it fell out of her coat pocket and that's how it landed on the ground. Or maybe someone else brought it back. Or maybe it never really left. I'm not sure, but now it's pretty sure that the dead girl, the dead woman, it seems very, very likely that she is Martine. And also, apparently, the Anna Stravinska, the detective received a letter from a policeman from France saying one of the girlfriends has had a postcard from Anna Stravinska. Apparently the cruise story was true. She has reached Jamaica and is having, in your phrase, a wonderful time. So that was just a red herring. Yeah, okay, I'm at chapter 19 now, and let's see. It's not a lot more. But it's too early for me to give what I think, you know? Even though I've been giving it the whole time. Another murder has occurred. Alfred is dead. Why? Okay, so we were talking theories a little bit. And one of the theories that was brought up, or that I thought about, was like, okay, if we follow the hints that Miss Marple has been dropping, and this is kind of a situation, if it's kind of like that situation, I said like, oh, it doesn't really make sense, because why would Martine be affected. And also then it would have been more like, if they stand to gain something from the other brothers dying, there would have been more deaths in the family. And then once I have... so that's how I reasoned that this theory... I cannot find any truth in that theory, because there's only been one murder and it seems to have nothing to do directly with the family, the money that's in the family currently, more with the inheritance that might come later. And then I read, so they were all eating. Actually, they were all fighting. So everyone was in a room fighting, and Lucy was preparing food. She wanted to make a fricassee, a chicken fricassee. But then the old Mr. Krakenthorpe yelled at her like, "Oh, why don't you make some curry? We really didn't have curry in a long time. I want some curry." And Lucy was like, "Yes, because the boys, Alexander and his friend, they don't really like curry." And the thing is though, Alexander, his dad Brian, and also his friend, they are not staying at Rutherford Hall at the family home anymore. They went to visit someone else, I don't know, so they are not here. So the old man was like, these boys are not here anyway, and it's not about them, it's about me, and I want curry. So Lucy prepared curry for everyone, and then we slip into the perspective of the doctor. He gets a call, and it's basically like everyone at Rutherford Hall, everyone is sick. He goes there, and first they assume it's food poisoning, but the doctor has kind of like a suspicion, and he tests the curry. The only one not falling, and he finds arsenic in the curry. So it's not food poisoning, it's arsenic poisoning. The only one not affected is Lucy, because she didn't have any of the curry. She just ate some mushroom soup, and there was nothing wrong with the mushroom soup. So Dr. Quimper went to the police inspector, Inspector Bacon, and told him, "Hey, I found arsenic in the curry. I think this is a situation where the whole family was poisoned, but the murderer made it seem like it's food poisoning, and he will administer a second dose to someone, and that someone will die, and then he can blame it on the food poisoning, you know, and probably he is also one who is currently suffering from arsenic poisoning. Maybe he has ingested a small dose of it himself and is now pretending that his poisoning is as bad as the other people, so he's not being suspected of anything." And at that point, I was like, when I heard everyone in the family is sick after eating a meal and it's arsenic poisoning, I was like, okay, now it starts. Now they are all getting killed off, so that only one stands to inherit the whole fortune. But you know, the book is not that long anymore, and then it was like, okay, this poisoning, this arsenic poisoning, my theory would work if everyone starts dying now, but it's only one. The doctor predicted correctly. One of those patients, one of the family members, took a turn for the worst and just died. And it's Alfred. It's the criminal. Alfred the criminal is dead. And that is weird. I don't know. It's still like, the one who should be dying is old Mr. Krakenthorpe, so they can inherit his money, because he's gonna live like 20 more years, and they've got nothing for these 20 years. He will not give them anything. But he's just not dying, and I even suspect that he is the one poisoning everyone. I think he could have killed his own son, because he's the one that suggested the curry, and I think he suggested it because curry is quite aromatic and tastes like, has a strong taste, and you wouldn't notice the arsenic in it. I don't think it, I don't know if that's bullshit though, because I don't actually know if you can taste arsenic or if it's like tasteless. Oh, I don't know.
I think the poison is in the flavors, in the spices.
In the spices.
Yeah, and that's why, because he only got like poisoning, or like the poisoning when there were like lots of people eating, where they cooked with more spices to make it a little bit more extravagant.
Oh, so you think
Yeah.
that it wasn't planned to make like, okay, this is the evening where I will poison everyone.
Yeah.
It's that there is arsenic in the flavors,
In the spices.
and every time they use spices to cook, they are cooking arsenic in it.
Yeah.
But then why would, in these family things, when the family comes together, why would only the old man suffer from arsenic poisoning then? Surely everyone would use the same kind of...
I think Emma was the one slowly poisoning her father, and she was like testing out the dosages to, when she attempts it, makes like the right amount to kill everyone, but not the grandfather.
So I have the theory that because this arsenic poisoning of the old Mr. Krakenthorpe, it happened multiple times, and the question was, why would someone attempt to poison the dad? Then the dad still lives, and then he tries to again, but he doesn't up the dosage. He just tries again and again and again, and the father is living and living and living. Surely you would up the dosage to make sure he's dead the next time you try it. So I think that it has been multiple people that have done poisoning on the dad. Like, all of the boys at one point tried to poison the dad, and all of them mistook him for weaker than he actually is, and he has lived through multiple poisoning attempts, you know? That was my theory, that all of them at one point tried to. But then, now someone was successful in poisoning the whole family, basically.
Why did Alfred die?
Yeah,
and
and
not the father.
why did Alfred die and not the dad? If we just take money as a motive,
Yeah.
it would make sense for Cedric to be the killer of Martine, because he is the one inheriting the land and the house. And if Martine really has a son, then he would inherit that instead. All of the other ones will still get their own portion of money, just a little bit less. But Cedric is the one who is losing the most, because he is losing his inheritance of the land. So if it's just about money, it would make sense for Cedric to kill Martine. Also, none of them have an alibi now, by the way. All of the alibis are done. Poof. They could have all done it, okay? As soon as, like, Cedric kills Martine, he has no motive to kill Alfred anymore, because Alfred is not in his way in any way. And also we know that the murder happened on the train, and it's very possible that he was alone on the train with Martine. So Alfred could not have witnessed the murder. You know, it's not like someone sees it and then he dies. So that would make no sense for Cedric. I'm also willing to say, because we are closing in on the end, and it's time to do some predictions. Dr. Quimper has got nothing to do with it. I don't believe it. The only thing Dr. Quimper would be part of this thing if he and Emma were secretly in a relationship, in a team, and Emma does some weird business. I don't know. But I think that's not the case. I think Emma loves him, he loves Emma, but they are not at the stage yet where they were able to tell each other that. I think they will be leaving this book as a couple, happy couple, but they are not the killers. That's what I think. I also think the lawyer is not the killer. I don't know if you even remember him. He was mentioned quickly, the family lawyer. But I don't believe it was him. And then we get to Brian Easley, who was high on my list because of the inheritance that Alexander will get, but he will not be able to access yet. And Brian needs money. But it seems like there is a little bit of flirtationry going on between Brian and Lucy. And Brian Easley has now left the estate. I don't think, maybe he won't be coming back. But he is not part of the whole arsenic poisoning incident. And if that is a planned incident and not just a thing that happened because spices were used that had arsenic poisoning in them and it was like a whoopsie-daisy situation, which, you know, then I don't think he wouldn't have anything to do with it. So I think Brian is also out. Literally on the next page, some more information came about. So apparently Alfred, he was poisoned again by drinking a tea. And it is possible that it could have been a mistake, that Alfred died, because someone put arsenic in the tea. Maybe the tea was... he thought the tea was meant for old Mr. Crackenthorpe or someone else, but Alfred got it and that's how he died. So it could have been a mistake that Alfred is the one who died. The other things that we were talking about, you remember the theory that maybe the arsenic was in the spices and that's why everyone got poisoned. But Lucy just tells the inspector, I had to open a new tin of curry powder, so that couldn't have been tampered with. And then she also asks, I suppose curry would disguise the taste? Arsenic hasn't any taste, said Craddock absently. So that means my theory that the old Mr. Crackenthorpe wanted curry specifically to disguise the taste is also wrong. Something new happened. You remember the friend of Alexander that he was walking around with, blah blah blah. His name is James, Stoddard West. I didn't really mention him because I didn't think he was very particularly interesting to the story. He's just another boy. But now Brian Easley and Alexander are spending some time with the family of James Stoddard West, and who has just arrived at the doorstep of the Crackenthorpes trying to talk to Emma? Well, the mother of this James Stoddard West, who, as it turns out, is not only also a French woman, but she is Martine. So she told Emma that she had a fling with her older brother. They met in France, they wanted to marry, the war came, the brother died, she joined the resistance, and then she fell in love with someone else and married and came to England. There she had the son, and Alexander and James turned out to be friends by pure coincidence. So that means that the dead woman is not Martine, because Martine is alive. She has assumed a new name, and yeah, she's right there, you know, next door neighbor, almost. Which makes it even more complicated. I mean, because she has never written the original letter that was like, hey, I'm Martine, I'm back in England and I need help for my son. That was not her. So, you remember the story about Anna, the ballet dancer, who apparently is on a cruise somewhere? Maybe she is not on a cruise, because the stories that she told, the lies that she told to her ballet colleagues was that she fought in the resistance in the war, that she married an Englishman. It all sounds kind of adjacent to the real life stories of the real life Martine. So maybe she knew Martine somehow, somewhere, and she came to England. She pretended to be Martine to get money and then was murdered. So Anna is the murdered woman in the sarcophagus. But then who is sending the postcard saying, yoo-hoo, I'm on a cruise? Or maybe that's the murderer. Don't you think? The dead woman's Anna pretending to be Martine. She sent the letter, the first letter. And then one of the brothers, believing that she is Martine, murdered her, but he also found out about her identity or her stage name as Anna, and he wrote the ballet, yoo-hoo, I'm on a cruise, so that there's no loose ends, you know? That could be something. So even though Martine is alive, the murderer could have still thought it was Martine who he killed.
Yeah.
Okay, we have made it almost the last 2 chapters. Now everything that's left, I think, will just be the resolution. Another thing happened. Harold is now also dead. So he left the house, went back to his house in the city in London, and there he received a small package. And in the package were 2 pills and a note that the pills were sent by like an apothecary, like a chemist. And the note said that this is recommended from Dr. Quimper and he should take them before going to sleep. And because of the arsenic poisoning, he has been taking pills to sleep the last few days, and they looked exactly the same. And so he took them, and he's dead. Okay. And the police found out that this was of course not sent by Dr. Quimper, but it was sent from Rutherford Hall, and the package was actually a package that Emma had her pills in, and the pills were switched basically. Anyway, we are now at the point where it's theories time.
I do think
Yeah.
that Emma has to do something about it. Maybe she started like poisoning everyone one by one, but she didn't do it alone. She did it with the doctor because he has access to all the medicine, and he would be also like be capable of doing like everything. And then when they got the letters of Martine, they freaked out, and the doctor killed the woman on the train. Don't know how, or maybe she was like a lover and then had like blackmailed, and then he killed her.
But you do think it's Emma and the doctor.
Yeah.
So
But I also really like Emma. She's so sweet.
Yeah,
Apparently
she's very
everyone
sweet.
likes her, but maybe she's like a psychopath underneath. The father made her crazy.
The inspector, Inspector Craddock, he talked again to Miss Marple, and she also threw out some theories. So first she said that Anna Stravinska, who also was a possible suspect to be the victim, they pretty much quieted these investigations because they received a postcard from Jamaica that she was on the cruise, and also they found the letter that was assigned to Martine on the grounds of Rutherford Hall, and so there was like, oh, that is now one of the main pieces of evidence that Martine was here, because it was her letter and she must have dropped it and da-da-da. So they were pretty sure that it must have been Martine who the victim. But it turns out it isn't Martine, of course. And Miss Marple suggested that this letter, the letter from Jamaica, could have been falsified, of course. You can send letters from anywhere. And she also pointed out that the crumpled letter found at Rutherford Hall that suggested this Martine was there. Martine was never really actually there, right? She was killed in the train and then just thrown from the train tracks. So either it fell out of her coat or something, or the murderer planted the evidence there so that the police would focus on Martine and not realize that the actual victim is not Martine, but maybe Anna, you know? I don't think the doctor did it.
Why not?
I don't know. It's just a feeling. I like him.
Okay.
Where did they get all that arsenic from?
The doctor.
Yeah, I know. But I don't want to believe it. I also don't think Cedric was it.
Oh no, Cedric is like my number 3 suspect.
I think...
Like Emma and the doctor, Emma and then Cedric. If there's no one else, then it's like Cedric.
What about Brian Easley? You don't suspect him at all.
Completely forgot about him. That's Emma.
Okay, I'm also thinking it's Emma.
Emma and the doctor.
Log it in. I log it in as just Emma. And you
Okay.
log in as Emma and the doctor.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. We have arrived at the conclusion. And the murderer was... Da-da-da-da-da! Dr. Quimby. So you were right. Yeah. I'm going to read the conclusion now. Okay, so basically Mrs. Marple has brought back Miss McGillicuddy, the witness, and arranged a scene at the house. Everyone is there, the police is there, blah 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 blah. And she basically built a scene where it looked like Dr. Quimby was strangling her, and Miss McGillicuddy saw it and immediately recognized that Dr. Quimby is the man she saw. Dr. Quimby is like, why should I want to murder a perfectly strange woman, said Dr. Quimby. She wasn't a strange woman, said Inspector Craddock. She was your wife. And now let's read the conclusion after that. So you see, said Miss Marple, it really turned out to be, as I began to suspect, very, very simple. The simplest kind of crime. So many men seem to murder their wives. Mrs. McGillicuddy looked at Miss Marple and Inspector Craddock. I'd be obliged, she said, if you'd put me a little more up to date. He saw a chance, you see, said Miss Marple, of marrying a rich wife, Emma Crackenthorpe. Only he couldn't marry her, because he had a wife already. They'd been separated for years, but she wouldn't divorce him. That fitted in very well with what Inspector Craddock told me of this girl who called herself Anna Stravinska. She had an English husband, so Anna Stravinska was...
Oh, yeah.
She had an English husband, so she told one of her friends, and it was also said she was a very devout Catholic. Dr. Quimby couldn't risk marrying Emma bigamously, so he decided, being a very ruthless and cold-blooded man, he would get rid of his wife. The idea of murdering her in a train and later putting her body in the sarcophagus in the barn was really rather a clever one. He meant it to tie up, you see, with the Crackenthorpe family. Before that, he had written a letter to Emma, which purported to be from a girl, Martine, whom Edmund Crackenthorpe had talked of marrying. Emma had told Dr. Quimby all about her brother, you see. Then, when the moment arose, he encouraged her to go to the police with her story. He wanted the dead woman identified as Martine. I think he may have heard that inquiries were being made by the Paris police about Anna Stravinska, and so he arranged to have a postcard come from her from Jamaica. It was easy for him to arrange to meet his wife in London, to tell her that he hoped to be reconciled with her and that he would like her to come down and meet his family. We won't talk about the next part of it, which is very unpleasant to think about. Of course, he was a greedy man. When he thought about taxation and how much it cuts into income, he began thinking that it would be nice to have a good deal more capital. Perhaps he'd already thought of that before he decided to murder his wife. Anyway, he started spreading rumors that someone was trying to poison old Mr. Crackenthorpe so as to get the ground prepared. And then he ended by administering arsenic to the family. Not too much, of course, for he didn't want old Mr. Crackenthorpe to die. But I still don't see how he managed, said Craddock. He wasn't in the house when the curry was being prepared. Oh, but there wasn't any arsenic in the curry then, said Miss Marple. He added it to the curry afterwards, when he took it away to be tested. He probably put the arsenic in the cocktail jug earlier. Then, of course, it was quite easy for him, in his role of medical attendant, to poison off Alfred Crackenthorpe and also send the tablets to Harold in London, having safeguarded himself by telling Harold that he wouldn't need any more tablets. Everything he did was bold and audacious and cruel and greedy, and I'm really very, very sorry, finished Miss Marple, looking as fierce as a fluffy old lady can look, that they have abolished capital punishment, because I do feel that if there is anyone who ought to hang, it's Dr. Quimby. Hear, hear, said Inspector Craddock. It occurred to me, you know, continued Miss Marple, that even if you only see anybody from the back view, so to speak, nevertheless a back view is characteristic. I thought that if Elspeth were to see Dr. Quimby in exactly the same position as she'd seen him in the train, that is, with his back to her, bent over a woman who he was holding by the throat, then I'm almost sure she would recognize him and would make some kind of startled exclamation. That is why I had to lay my little plan with Lucy's kind assistance. I must say, said Miss Gillicuddy, it gave me quite a turn. I said, that's him, before I could stop myself, and yet, you know, I hadn't actually seen the man's face, and I was terribly afraid that you were going to say so, Elspeth, said Miss Marple. I was, said Miss McGillicuddy. I was going to say that, of course, I hadn't seen his face. That, said Miss Marple, would have been quite fatal. You see, dear, he thought you really did recognize him. I mean, he couldn't know that you hadn't seen his face. A good thing I can help my tongue, said Miss McGillicuddy. I wasn't going to let you say another word, said Miss Marple. Craddock laughed suddenly. You two, he said. You're a marvellous pair. What's next, Miss Marple? What's the happy ending? What happens to poor Emma Crackenthorpe, for instance? She'll get over the doctor, of course, said Miss Marple, and I dare say if her father were to die, and I don't think he's quite so robust as you think he is, that she'd go on a cruise, or perhaps to stay abroad, like Geraldine Webb, and I dare say something might come of it. A nicer man than Dr. Crimper, I hope. What about Lucy Elsborough? Wedding bells there too? Perhaps, said Miss Marple. I shouldn't wonder. Which of them is she going to choose? Said Delmore Craggart. Don't you know? Said Miss Marple. No, I don't, said Craggart. Do you? Oh, yes, I think so, said Miss Marple. And she twinkled at him. And that's it. You were wanting to know who Lucy ended up with, right?
Yeah.
Well, can go either way. Anyway, I didn't crack the case, but you kinda did.
I was so far off.
Well, you said it was the doctor.
Yeah.
Of course, we thought it was Emma who planned it.
Yeah.
And we would have never assumed that it was the wife of the doctor.
Never.
It was Anna, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was also right with that one because
Yeah.
I said nobody really could confirm that was Martine.
Yeah, exactly. And
So,
I also
yeah.
thought it was Anna, so that we got right. But with Emma, we were quite wrong.
Yeah.
But at least you had the doctor. I was like, no, the doctor's giving too many informations to the police and stuff. But you know what? Earlier on, you said, oh, maybe it was Cedric, and Cedric told them to focus on Martine, so that, you know, it's gonna be blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I don't think so, because Edric was very much against Emma going to the police about the Martine letter thing. The one who encouraged her was actually Dr. Quimper. And then we didn't think of, oh, so maybe it was his kind of. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. It's finally done after 2 years. Agatha Christie, 4.50 from Paddington. The next one we will get right. The next one. See you then. Thank you for watching. Bye bye. Don't forget to comment and I don't know, subscribe if you like. I put out one video every 2 years, so subscribe!